everybody, welcome back to another episode of Happiness Matters, the show with me, Beanie Man, and my awesome sidekick, Mo the service dog, who is chewing on his favorite treat right here. And today, I know he's right there. Today I have one of my very dear friends here, John Thunderheart Robinson.
Hello.
But we just call him John. And
Yeah,
every time I talk to people, it's like, do you know John Thunderheart? They're like, yeah. But no, I always talk to you about John Thunderheart.
Yeah, that's in the community. That's
who you are. I mean,
who
that's
I am,
yeah. So how did we meet? I don't even remember. I think we were connected through Barbara at one of your drumming circles, or
it might have been Barbara, or it could have been Rachel. Don't you know Rachel? It was at. I think it was at a.
No, it was definitely Barbara.
It was Barbara. I don't know. It's funny how we run into meet people.
I know, right? Because your vibe attracts your tribe.
That's it. Hey, you know.
So John is, well, just amazing for so many reasons, and that was Mo agrees.
Mo's agreed. Yeah.
Mo's agreed. Yeah. So, but you do a drumming circle every full moon here in Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, which is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And I tell people just like, you gotta go. This is so cool, because there were a few times there was just cloud cover. Mm-hmm. And we knew that the moon was right behind there, and then the energy just went through the roof. I mean, literally, and parted the clouds so many times.
Just opened up.
Just opened up so we can see the moon and really enjoy that. That is just amazing.
Yeah, the energy of Garden of the Gods is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially at that stone circle.
Right.
It's, was basically a holy place for a lot of the tribes. And, it's funny how the explorers named it basically Garden of the Gods, and it was a holy place.
Interesting. The more you know.
Yeah, and that stone circle where it used to be the chuck wagon area in there, dead center. I can't even speak. I'm just so overwhelmed with the energy there. No,
it happens.
It has a different acoustics right in that stone circle, dead center, when you stand up there.
Huh.
But we've captured thousands of orbs when we did the circle. I had a person, I didn't have them do it, but they attended and they took pictures, and they used to put them on back in the early days. And there'd be literally, you'd see everybody dancing and the drummers drumming, and it looked like someone was blowing bubbles.
Oh wow, that is amazing. So for you guys that don't know John does energy life readings. Am I saying that
call
right?
Life Path.
Life Path.
And I do energy work. I do.
He's one of my woo-woo people.
Yeah, I guess I'm a woo-woo person. I know I don't look it, I look like Johnny Conventional, but
please.
But that just lets you know that it doesn't matter what you look like. Everybody can,
Right. I mean, it's a gift, and technically we all have it. It's just dormant for most people.
Well, a lot of times those spiritual gifts are suppressed because of trying to fit into society, or their particular religion frowns against it. And I'm using that as,
No, I get it. I'm with you.
Some of them are fire and brimstone against it.
Yeah, right.
It's the work of the devil.
Believe me.
And unfortunately, that's a misperception.
Right. I agree, because to me, the gist of it is all the same. It doesn't matter what you believe.
No.
Yeah. To me, the gist of it is the same.
Yeah.
It's just different words that are being used to explain what's going on in the universe and around us with the energies and everything.
Yeah. I mean, mainstream science right now is trying to figure it out.
Good luck with that.
They say, the scientific method, where it has to be proven and repeatable when they test something. But so many things are repeatable, but are not being able to be documented in a way that fits into the full paradigm of what the scientists need to say it's real.
If it's real to you, it's real. That's how I feel. And it's like, and I had a few readings done with you, and I'm always walking away like, whoa. whoa.
And when she leaves, I'm going, whoa. No,
It was so funny, and I know you don't remember the readings you did because, you know, they're not yours to keep anyway. So,
right.
But the last one we did, he goes, well, that was weird. and
I don't remember.
And I love it when my woo-woo friends go, well, that was weird. I'm like, no.
You get flashbacks of me saying, that's weird.
I was like, oh, yeah.
No, it's funny though, when you do readings, you know, I tell people that I'm just going to give them what I get.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's something that I don't understand or it just doesn't fit into the way I look at life for the most part.
Right.
And I'm like, that is weird. You know, I don't always say that unless the people are I'm comfortable with since I know you.
Right.
But sometimes I just say, you know, I'm getting something I just don't understand. Or I can't figure out, or I have no basis of experience in it. And I've had that with people where when I'm doing the reading, I said, you know, I'm getting something and I just don't know how to say it because I've never experienced anything. I don't know how to put it into words to give you that description so you can acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so I started to ask questions. She goes, well, I don't answer questions. And I said, well, then I can't give you anything because I don't understand what I'm seeing. I'm asking questions so I can get clarity so I know how to put it out, you know.
Okay. Well, good thing you bring up that question because I know there's a lot of, let's just call them charlatans out there.
Oh.
You know, they're like, oh, I can do this, but they figured out a way where they can ask the right questions to get the answers.
Leading. It's called leading.
Right. You know, so, and I can understand why some people, you know, when they come see you and you ask a question, like, well, I'm not going to answer the question.
Yes.
Because
I understand it too.
There are so many out there that claim they're all this, that, and a bag of chips, and, you know, they're really nothing. So, and they don't really have a gift, they're just looking to suck up money.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's like with you, stuff that you shared with me, I'm like, how the heck do you know? Duh, he's for real. But I mean, it's like listen to your, and I tell people too, it's like listen to your gut. If your gut is telling you, you know, something is not right, listen to it.
Or question it right then and there.
Or question it right then and there, and don't just ignore it away and make excuses for it because A, you're paying good money, you know, and B, it can be harmful too, I think.
Well, it depends on what's being said.
Right.
What's being brought up. Yeah, you don't want to have somebody who has, you know, PTSD, for instance, and has just come over the edge where they're starting to become, you know, relaxed within their own skin again, and they're functioning in society, you know, well again, to have something come up that re-triggers them into, and what happens? They get PTSD again. You know, all the work to undo the damage or to recognize what it was and to learn how to live with it, someone can throw a monkey wrench in that. And then you have to be really careful.
Right.
Like, I probably do ask a lot of questions when I do it. I don't pay attention. I just sit there and I'm seeing stuff in my mind. I feel things. Like when I was explaining to you earlier, before we started taping, sometimes I'll see, hear, or feel things. Sometimes spirits of loved ones, friends, or someone who may be associated with you or even associated with someone around you may come through. But most of what I do is what I call life path, right? And that's how to work through your life and to see the different things in it so that you can correct them if you need to.
Right.
So you can find that inner peace, right? And I can also, you know, a lot of times spirits come through by what they may have gone through before they passed. And at that point, I can't actually tell the difference between living and deceased because I feel it. I feel broken bones, heart attacks, chemo, gunshots, hanging, strokes, dental issues. And, you know, there are times
when you have good pain med supplier?
Meditation.
There you go. That
meditation.
Works, yeah.
But the thing is that a lot of the stuff, you know, I have to ask questions on some of it, right? Because without an acknowledgement, you know, how can you move forward with the information that's going? Because it's not my life that I'm seeing.
Right.
So, you know, and I need some of the verification and you know, some of the stuff, like if they don't recognize anybody, you know, who had, you know, say committed suicide or anything. No one in my life did and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'm going to leave it with you. So talk to your husband, or if it's male, what doesn't matter, wife or friends, around you. But there's someone here who, shot themselves and, that type of thing.
Right.
And they want to let you know that, yes, they planned on killing themselves, but they were changing their mind, and they ended up like, no, I can't do it, and you know what I mean, like they got mad at themselves and pulled the trigger, you know what I mean, where they said,
that's some powerful
yes,
stuff.
I killed, yes, I did, I am responsible for ending my own life, but I did not mean to commit suicide. I had changed this was actually not a gunshot, this one was a hanging. And they were stepping up on the stool, and they were
changed their mind, but then
they changed their mind, but then one foot slipped.
Oh.
And they tried to get the thing back and knock the chair thing over, and they fought to do it. And I said,
oops.
Yeah, I talked to the one person, the girl who was in the thing. I said, did you have a picture of her on your coffee table and you just moved it into the bedroom? And she was like, oh my God, I did that this morning.
Wow.
And she wants to let you know that she did not commit suicide, yes, but she did end her life. And even though it is listed as a suicide, she says, I tried to stop myself and I, misstepped and knocked the stool over.
Well.
And so to let them know that I'm at peace, I'm, and pass on to my family that I've come through, that type of thing. And that doesn't always happen, but this was stopping the woman who I was reading, her from moving on with her life, because she felt partially responsible, how friends do.
Right, no, I totally get that, yeah, but I mean, to get closure, is really good. Yeah. It's really good. So, my question is, when did you realize that you had a gift? Or how would people recognize that they have a gift, and does it come at a certain age, or?
No, I mean, there's some people that are born with it. There's sometimes some people who get illnesses that, changes, I'll say, their biochemical, their biochemistry in their body, where their signals come differently, and it's like putting the tinfoil on the old rabbit ear antennas, where you get the reception. There's reception. It can come in many different ways. I didn't realize I had gifts when I hindsight things
that I had experienced.
Yes, exactly, the 20/20 hindsight. That I had experiences when I was younger, but I didn't recognize them. When you're little and no one talks about it, and you don't think it's normal, so you don't bring it up and go, "What's this? What's that?"
So it's kind of like how kids have their invisible friends. They talk to.
A lot of times they could be a spirit of another child that was there, or something that's been in that area for eons.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So
that they connect with.
Parents, don't dismiss them when your kid talks about their invisible friends.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. So ask questions and just be open and don't shut it down right away.
How I got started with this, I at first listened to a radio show. I'm from New York, and they had it's a radio station that no longer has talk shows, as far as I know. And then this was back in
a while ago,
around 1980 something. Yeah, it's a while ago now. Can you tell? I dye my hair gray to make myself look more sophisticated.
Oh, there you go. It worked. Great job. Great job.
I was going to have a smoking jacket and have a little pipe, that type of thing.
I'm glad you don't.
No, me too. I always was very empathic, but I didn't know the word. I didn't know what that was. I'd always feel things, and I quit. What's wrong with me? What's going on? I'd be feeling really sad, or sometimes I'd be really up, and for no reason.
Like bipolar?
Well, not so much bipolar. It wasn't these drastic shifts.
Oh, okay.
I'd be in a certain environment, and all of a sudden I'd have a lot more energy, depending on the people that were in there. Right? If everybody was down and depressed, I wouldn't want to go into the house. I could feel it before I got there and said, I don't want to come in there. I don't know what's up. I don't, you know what I mean? But I'd go in because, everybody else was, or I had to. And then, there was big family argument or something like that. You know what I mean? But how I started listening to this radio show that occasionally would have a psychic on.
Okay.
Or an astrologer, and I didn't really know much about that. I had been given a book when I was probably around, I don't know, 10 years old, and it was from Time Life, and it was called Into the Unknown.
Ooh, nice.
And that was my first experience with that type of stuff. And I don't know why my parents got me that. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't in our life. We didn't know anything about it.
Because you needed to have it?
Yeah, well, exactly. It was one of those things.
Because that's how the universe works.
Yeah. But, you know, I was fascinated.
Right.
When I was, I guess it was around 19, I went to go visit my brother who was living in Kansas. He was going to Kansas State for his master's. And I was feeling funky all weekend. I was like nervous, something's going on, something's happening, you know. And that was the weekend that the singer Harry Chapin, when he died on the Long Island Expressway.
Oh.
Right, and that was also when the Hyatt Regency Towers in Kansas City or whatever it was, they had a sky bridge and it collapsed and a lot of people were killed. And, you know, so this is one thing after another was going on. And I went to sleep on, you know, I slept on my brother's couch while I was down there. And I had a vision of an assassination attempt on the Pope.
Oh, wow.
And it was clear. I had license plate numbers. I had how many, they were Arab terrorists. The car was a white, I still remember what the car was, a white Peugeot, but I had the license plate. I had the street sign, it was cobblestone, and I knew, and I knew it was in Portugal.
Huh.
And I didn't know what to do with it, but I had just listened to the radio show before.
Hey, because there's no coincidences.
No, before I went down to visit my brother. And they had this psychic, George Anderson, on. And, you know, he was the precursor to John Edwards, you know, similar type of readings that they did. I literally go, who am I going to talk to about this? But they had a priest on, they had a physicist, they had a medical doctor, they had a psychiatrist, they had a parapsychologist.
Oh, wow.
They had a physicist, all in there, you know, who were testing him and talking about him, and the priest who was head of diocesan television, you know, on Long Island, which, you know, there's a couple of million, you know.
There's a few people.
There's a few people in very big diocese.
Right.
And he was on there and he said on the air that I believe in him and I think he can help him. He endorsed him. And they don't do that.
Right.
So I said, you know, when I get back, I'm going to try to find out when this guy's going to be on again and see if I can get in to be one of the studio audience. Because I mentioned studio audience. So I went back, and this is pre-computer, so we couldn't look, there was no internet, right? So if you wanted to look something up, you'd have to go to the library, and that didn't have all the information on people, you know what I mean?
Right.
So people were, you know, people would call in sometimes on the show and say, you know, you're looking this up at the library, and it's like, the only thing you can get is, you know, the white pages to look up a name, but you're not going to find it about, like, everyone here. You can Google almost anybody and get something.
Right.
That wasn't the time frame. So I found out by making a phone call to the radio station when he'd be on next, and this was in August. They said it's going to be in October.
You mean you talked to a real person?
I talked to a real person. Hello, this is Raj from India. How can I know?
Oh,
this,
no.
You know, hello, my name is Frank. How are you? No, it wasn't one of those. But I was able to wangle my way in. It was very difficult, but I got in to be one of the studio audience.
Because you're supposed to be there.
I was supposed to be there. And I mean, the story's a lot longer.
Right.
But I was able to kind of, on a break, there was only one way out of the studio, because we were watching through a glass.
Oh, okay.
And the studio audience was 5 chairs in the hallway looking through the glass and a speaker in the hallway.
Oh, wow.
I expected when I heard studio audience,
Yeah,
I was
figured,
bleacher seats and all this thing.
Right.
And no, this was a radio station.
Wow.
Right? They had one for the rock and one for the talk show. And then they had engineering rooms.
Okay.
And, I mean, there was more staff in cubicles than there was room for shows, so to speak. So I cornered them, wouldn't let them pass the door out, and I said, you know, I want to talk to you for a minute. No. he was not the nicest to me at that moment. You know, I mean, who wants to get stopped?
Right. Because maybe he had to go to the bathroom really, really bad.
And that's exactly what it was.
Oh.
But I told him I had a vision. Yeah, everybody has visions. And then I said, well, this is what, you know, I mean, I spit it out. And I gave him the whole thing and his jaw dropped.
Oh.
Right? And he goes, wait here. He goes, I had exactly the same one. But if you don't get out of my way, I'm going to pee my pants. Or he'd pee on my pants.
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean? Yeah. So he came back and we started talking and, you know, he gave me like a mini reading right there in the thing. And he invited me back with the whole crew, you know, the engineer, the person, the two engineers, the host, him, and the other people that were on the show. And the show was midnight to 2 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And I had to be at work at 8. So the show ended at 2. They were ready to go by 3. Went to eat. So I didn't go to bed. I went right to work, basically, after that. But
Good
the thing
times.
was,
Back when we were young, we could do these things.
but that's how I started. The medium said, you know something? You have a gift. And I want you to be able to develop it. So if you're free, if you come by every Monday, I'll start working with you. I'll mentor you. And
Nice.
so first thing we did, he says, first, he goes, you're going to meet me at St. Killian's Church, and it's in Farmingdale, and on Long Island. And first we're doing novena, and then we go back to my house, and then I'll start working with you. So I had to go to church first, and then over. And I worked with him, you know, for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I acted as his bodyguard for a while when he had a death threat because he did a reading that was helped find the body of a Hollywood producer that disappeared. And it was
Wow.
mob related, you know, that type of thing.
Wow.
And so he had round the clock police for, you know, a few months. And then when they couldn't afford that any longer, he asked me if I could do it because I was a trained martial artist and everything. Even though I was one of those unassuming because I was a lot thinner than I was now. Now.
Pollies.
Yeah, but the thing was is that I got a lot of training from him. You know, absolutely amazing medium.
Wow. That is just, it fascinates me. It's like, you know, I mean, I have a few of my friends have gifts. My gift is to spread happy. That's what I do.
Happiness matters.
You know, but I believe we all have gifts, you know,
I agree.
and I believe we all have, for lack of a better word, the woo-woo gifts. You know, it's just we're so conditioned to suppress.
Exactly.
And we're so worried about what would other people think, you know, and
or what if I'm wrong?
What if I'm wrong? Well, what if you're right?
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's sad. It's really sad, but in the same thing right now, I think there's a huge shift going on.
Oh, most definitely.
People, more and more people are, well, waking up.
That's what I call it too.
You know, they're waking up and they're questioning. It's like, whoa, maybe there is more, and you know, all of those things, and it's like, yeah, there's more, and I refer to the laws of the universe. You know, they apply to all of us equally. It's just we're ignoring them because there were, at one point, somebody somewhere decided they're evil, they're bad.
Right.
Well,
it's just like and I'll say it's just like humanity. There is good and there is not good.
Right, and then there's indifferent too.
Right.
You know, I mean, and it's not. It's not that simple. It's whatever value we give it. That's what the value is.
Right.
You know, whatever label we put on there, that's the label.
Label something through fear, it's going to be something bad.
Right.
Or evil.
Right. And
what we don't understand, we fear and we destroy.
Well, my thing too is fear. If people are afraid, they're easier controlled. But that's a whole nother subject.
Right. And I tell people, you know, if you're afraid, use it as a motivator for doing something for you to grow.
Right.
You know,
and my thing
to explore.
Right. And my thing too is you know, I mean, as a coach and everything, I tell people it's like it's okay to be afraid. Do it while you're afraid.
Right, and you'll find out that
most of that. Focus on the fear.
Right.
Don't make the fear the number one was it dominate or whatever, you know, don't make that the thing. Put the fear in the background, acknowledge it is there, but go for what you want anyway.
You have to acknowledge what comes up within yourself, right? It's not allowing yourself to be, how would you call it, deer in the headlights, frozen by it. It's to explore it. What is it? Why am I afraid? 98% of fear is an illusion.
Yep.
Right? How many times have we been set a task that we really don't know what to do, and we're so afraid of messing it up and everything, right? But when we get into it, because sometimes we don't have a choice, like at work. Right? But you go in there and all of a sudden you figured it out and you did it and you go, this isn't that hard. This is easy.
Right.
And it's like, but my fear was so big beforehand, and then all of a sudden you did and you go, that was a breeze.
Right. And that's what you look at. I mean, it happens to me too. It's like, why was I scared? That was stupid. Yeah. There was no need to. But it's that self-talk that we have and buying into other people's fears and all of their stuff. We take it on as our own, and now it becomes this, you know, this little flea now is an elephant. And it's paralyzing, and it doesn't have to be. So whatever you want to do, you know, your business, your personal life, you know, and you're scared, well, do it scared, but do it.
Just do it.
And nobody says you have to jump in both feet. It's like, just sometimes, you know, put your little toe in the water.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
like, test the waters, and it's like, and then you go a little further. It's like, you know, the first time.
Well, everybody thinks you have to leap.
Yeah, well, because that's, yeah. Anyway, but I mean, I remember the first time I went into the ocean. I was scared. Because I'm afraid of water, because I almost drowned at one point. So I was afraid of the water. And it was so cold. It was so cold, but I really wanted to go in.
Well, you're not supposed to swim in Siberia.
Dang it. No. But I mean, but the thing is, so, you know, even if you go in a pool and the water is really cold, you go in little by little by little by little. And then once you're in and swimming, now it feels nice.
Right.
And it's the same thing with everything else. You know, it's like just ease into it. You don't have to jump in, eyes closed, hands behind your back, and go. I mean, if that's what you want to do, do it.
Right.
But you don't have to. You can do a little.
You always have choices.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Choices? No.
Even when you're, you know, supposedly not given a choice, there is always a choice.
You always have a choice because you are in control of you.
Right. And if you're being steered into doing something out of your own personal integrity, then you have to stop yourself and say, why am I following this when this is wrong to me? Right? Right then you say, well, I mean, I'm sorry, you're going to have to do this yourself.
If it's wrong and everybody's doing it, it's still wrong.
Right.
You know, it's still wrong. So if you feel it's wrong and it goes against everything in you, then don't do it. Don't follow the masses. It's like.
But I'm going to also suggest with that is to start exploring why you think it's wrong later on. You know, because sometimes what we are taught is wrong isn't.
Right.
Right, but we are programmed through our upbringing and our belief systems and stuff that certain things are wrong when they're not, because those were set up as wrong for control reasons.
Well, and the thing too, a lot of times what's considered wrong is just if people don't understand something, instead of working on figuring out and understanding whatever, you know, it's labeled bad and evil and you know, and pushed in the corner or under the rug or.
Now I'm going to bring up truth.
Ew.
What is truth?
Truth?
Truth.
Lie to me. No.
Yes. Lie to me. Yeah. But truth. Everybody's truth is different.
Right.
Right. And again, it comes with how we are taught, how our family thought process, and I'm going to use that because that's our conditioning. Right. Or our neighborhood too gets added on top of that. Then our work environments, our school environments, and work environments, and condition us in certain things. And we believe something to be true. Now, truth can be true in a moment, but the next moment, that truth that you had believed in before can change, because the more you experience, the more you question, the more you listen. The more you listen, your truth will will shift, it will change, it'll morph,
Mm-hmm.
right? It'll grow. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the more we learn, the more we listen, and the more we experience, the truth that we had in the past can't stay the same unless we're unwilling to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And,
You're so smart.
well, I'm so connected to the universe. It's like this funnel on the top of my head. No,
And I'm just picturing that too. It's
yeah,
like,
I know. Well, a lot of like what I'm talking about is stuff that I've learned firsthand. Some of it's what I've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
Having conversations back and forth with people, finding out that the truth that I believed in before just wasn't working anymore, and it's like, what the hell's going on? What's wrong with me? Sometimes
and it's
do
sad
those
too.
questioning.
It's like when we start questioning things, we're like, we assume there's something wrong with us. A lot of times.
Isn't that our conditioning?
That's part of the conditioning. Oh, it's like when we feel like something is off. Instead of questioning the stuff that's off, we're like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why am I thinking this? Why am I doing this? Me.
Mm-hmm.
And when in reality, it's just like, no, you are discovering you and your true you and your truth, and it's just fun for me to watch people around me. There's more and more people that are embracing their truth and living their truth. And they're amazing people.
Yeah.
And I have friends that are like, I never knew I could do that. Well, because they had never tried before. They had never given it a shot because they believed it's wrong, they can't do it, or whatever their conditioning was.
Or they're going crazy.
Or they're going crazy. So no, you're not. You're not. It's just it's part of who you are. It's part of what makes you you. And instead of going to, oh, this is wrong and there's something wrong with me and blah, 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 look at it from a different way. It's like, wow, perspectives. Exactly. It's like, wow, this is cool. What does that mean? And go explore and become that, I always tell people, become that forensic scientist. Start asking questions and figure it out, and it's interesting.
One of the things I, give out a lot in my readings, because it comes up so much, because people are awakening and they're changing, and I want to tell a brief story in a minute, but there's a thing called introspection. It's looking within. Like when I lay out a card spread and anything that has like a bear claw or bear is going to the dream time, going to the introspection to look within. What are your triggers? Right? What triggers you? What makes you happy, sad, angry, frustrated, and numb? And say the negative triggers, with the anger and the fear and all those things, what are they? Where did they come from? And then what behavior pattern is triggered? And where did that behavior pattern come from? Was it yours? Was it passed down the family tree? Now we live in
deep.
We live in a quantum universe, right? There's multiple dimensions around us. Right?
Oh, I'm with you.
Parallel timelines and so forth. Is there proof of that? Like in the beginning? No, but actually they are finding that out now.
Yes, they are.
Scientifically. But the thing is that when you look at yourself, and I tell people to create a sacred space, surround themselves with white light, and you can pray, everything, and ask your gods, ask God, guides or God, to show you your life, whatever your belief system is. To show you these behavior patterns and these triggers, right? Where did they come from? And then, for instance, say Uncle Joe from 200 years ago had this experience and started this and made his family all live this way, and their kids grew up and did this, and now it's imprinted into the DNA. Now, you doing that introspection, and you look back and you say, oh my gosh, this is an ancestor from way back. You can see, sometimes you see him in your mind's eye, and you're wearing this old-fashioned outfit, and you say, your decision here, when changed, hurt, has damaged everybody down the timeline, make a different choice, right? And now, because it's on a spiritual level, right? Now, if that person makes that different choice, the behavior patterns shift. Because we've living in this dimension, we still feel that anxiety when that trigger goes off. But what happens is, I tell people it's like being at the beach when the wave comes in and you bob up and let it pass you by. That's what the initial thing is. You get the anxiety like you're going to get spiced with the wave, but all of a sudden you just bob up and come down. And you're like, wait, I didn't react. I got the nervousness, but I didn't react. And it gets less and less over time, but you notice it most in the little ones. All of a sudden they get that trigger, go, and they stop and they look around and go, and they start playing again. Right? But it literally works on a quantum level, and you can help that heal. So, discover who you are.
Right.
And it's about finding what those triggers are. And the ones that trigger you in a happy way. Look at the dynamics of that too. So that you can add those to these other areas in your life.
And I tell people too, it's like, hold on to the happy, let go of the not happy.
Yeah. I tell people, anytime you have a bad experience, look at it. What positive came from this bad experience? What tool have I learned? Right. Maybe you've learned to stand up for yourself and say no. Right. But what you want to do is you take that tool forward, not the emotional attachment to how that tool was created forward.
And and that's the thing, it's like with stuff that happens. So, stuff happens all the time. And it's a blip in time. It's really just a blip in time. What lingers with us are the emotions that come with that, and it gets distorted. Kind of like that telephone game that we played when we were kids. You whisper in the first person's ear, you whisper something, and then, something totally different comes out at the end. Because it gets distorted, because everybody hears it a little different, or is at a different emotional place and everything.
Or when it happened, you might be so young that you don't have all the facts.
Right.
Your mind and everything is still being formed.
Right, exactly.
And you misperceive the lesson.
Exactly.
It could have been a positive thing, but you took it as a negative because of the circumstance.
Exactly. And it's just like, it is, to me, is so fascinating. The whole everything, the human mind and the whole spiritual world. And when I say spiritual world, I mean everything, whatever religion or anything you believe in is all spiritual. Because the gist of it is the same. It's just different names, different words.
Exactly.
But when you really objectively look at it, well, it really is the same.
It is. Well, now talking about religion, you got the Bible, right? You got the Old Testament, New Testament, right? But you've got, like, say, the Hindu, the Bhagavad Gita. I can't even say it right now.
Say it 3 times fast.
No, then I'll spit on you.
Say it that way.
So if you get me angry, I'll say Bhagavad Gita really fast, all right?
Well
but the thing is that you can take any of the works, and I'm using, like the Hindu and say the Christian Bible. Now, I took the Bhagavad Gita, and I read it, and I was like, wow, this is very similar. The lessons in it are...
The lessons are the same.
Right, they just have different characters.
Right.
Right? So I read it, and I just changed the name in it, and someone stopped and said, what chapter verse? And I said, and I smiled, and I said, was that the truth? Right? And they were like, yes, that's what... And I said, well, it's the Song of God. And they go, oh, it's the Word of God. And I said, yeah, it's the Word of God. And they were like, what chapter verse? And I held up the Bhagavad Gita. I said, I just changed a couple of names. And they were like, And I said, the truth is the truth. Buddha said it. He says, don't believe what I say. Test it. He goes, tear it apart. Like a bar of gold. Dig it, cut into it. Cut all the way through it. If it's gold all the way through, it's the truth. Now, because, and he used that example because what they used to do was they would put like a half-inch or a quarter-inch of gold on top of a lead bar because they're almost the same atomic weight.
Huh.
And
cheaters.
Yes. Well, that's what they did. They cheated.
Right.
But Buddha says it's like a bar of gold. The truth. Cut it deep, score it, cut through it.
Question it.
Question it. He says, don't believe. He says, don't believe what I say. Test it.
And the thing is,
test your truth.
So when my kids were little, I always told them, I said, it's okay to question things. And it's all in the wording.
Yeah, and the tones.
Of course it backfired because my kids are smart. And I'm like, but it's all good. It's all good. So, no, but it is just, to me, this whole... So, fun fact, guys, John and I, we're going to start a show together.
Yeah.
So, And what did we say we call it?
Matter of perspective?
No, but something is perspective. I wrote it, see, that's why I wrote it down.
She wrote it down,
Anyway.
so she's teasing you.
Teaser, it's coming. And, no, but I'm excited. I'm really excited about it. So,
Yeah, me too.
Because there is an awakening going on, and I think because...
and that was part of the story I wanted to tell you.
Okay.
About an awakening.
Oh.
So, can I interject?
Yes.
Thank you.
Real quick, and then
Real
we're gonna...
quick. Yeah, that's all right. Oh, you're going to be going in the room and
No,
cutting.
I don't.
Now,
Hi, baby.
I had a client come in for a reading, and she was in her 80s. And when I start the readings, I hold the person's hand because I start getting impressions and stuff like that. And I looked up at her and I said, "You're not going crazy." And she just kind of looked like that. She goes, and she's, she was like, she goes, that's why I came here, because I was going to commit myself to a mental hospital.
Oh, wow.
Right. Or a home.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, because I don't know, so much stuff is going on. I said, "No, you're waking up." I said, your own spiritual self is conflicted. I mean, your logical self is conflicted with what the information that's pouring through your head now. And you're feeling very confused and overwhelmed. And I just gave her this whole reading on awakening. And I told her
Thanks for sharing
to start taking classes to understand these sensations that are going through her. Well, I mean, she was really coming in, and you could see the depression on her because she was really going to put herself in a home.
Well, and it's part of the programming.
Yeah.
Trying to make sense of it.
Right. And I told her, start taking these classes, and that are being offered. Go online, go on meetup.com, and start. So you start to understand, and you can start seeing. She came back about a month later, and she was like so alive and so happy, and she goes, "Thank you."
Wow.
Thank you for that, because she thought she was crashing and burning instead of rising up and flying.
Right.
And now she's flying.
That's amazing. Now she understands. That's awesome.
And almost every single one of the people who will be watching this is happening to you when you get overwhelmed and what's these things going on in my head. Take time to listen to it.
Yep.
And to explore it and take some ask questions.
Ask questions. Google it.
Yeah, Google it.
Google makes you smarter.
It can make you smarter, but there's plenty of stuff out there that's
misinformation
too.
Yes.
Yeah. But to trust what you're getting from your gut, your heart. They had scientific study that your heart and your gut
have the same brain cells as your brain.
They have the same brain cells, but the thing is they're not tied in to here, where or the eyes or the ears. The heart and the gut actually sense the truth beforehand. They did a study where they had a picture of a tsunami, right? And no, I'm not going to say tsunami, but bad things and good things, significant events or something, something that could be disturbing in a negative way. And they did a baseline to show the brain waves for one that was not good and one that was say good, and they didn't even turn the machine on yet, and all of a sudden they were getting readings.
Wow.
Right. And then they said, well, turn on the screen, and the picture's going to show up in a second. And all of a sudden, the lines were going jagged. And it was a picture of the tsunami and bodies washing up. Right? Which is disturbing. Right? The gut got it, way before.
Oh, yeah.
And then when the eyes saw it and heard, the commentary from the news clip, that's when all of a sudden the brain got it and it started doing this.
Right.
But the neurons that were firing inside the heart and the gut were able to go before it was even happening.
Right, and I tell people, listen to your gut.
Yeah, so it is.
We all heard it. It's like my gut instinct.
Follow your heart.
Right, follow your heart. Listen to your gut. I mean, we've all heard it.
Yeah, but now there's scientific proof about that.
Away.
Now there's scientific proof. They did this study about 2 or 3 years ago.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, I like to...
See, I'm a nerd, but I'm also the woo-woo.
Yeah, and
my right and my left brain, they're equal.
Yeah.
So, when there's like scientific proof to the other stuff, it's like, aha, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
So
cool.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I cannot wait to start the show because we're going to have so much fun.
It should be fantastic, and you're going to love it.
It should be fabulous. Yeah.
Marvelous. Simply
I'm glad
marvelous.
I really wrote down what we're gonna call it. It's something perspective.
Something perspective.
Anyway, you'll find out. So
Yes, you will.
thank you, John, for being here.
Thank you,
I
Dee.
love hanging out with you
Yeah.
because you're fun, and I mean, of course, your energy is like, whoa, you're my people.
What? See, I levitate, you know. I was in here and up and down.
Wouldn't that be creepy if that would actually happen?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be creepy, but it'd be like, whoa, this is so cool. But anyway, thanks for being here.
Well,
thank you guys for watching. I hope you got some value out of this.
Yeah.
And as always, be happy, be kind, be loved. Until next time, bye.
Ciao.